Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, all of you. Let's continue with our next topic. This is called Cyber Awareness for Public Administration, Training, Learning, and Preventing. We will have three panelists in this panel session as well. First of all, let me introduce Agnes Kasper. She's a senior lecturer of law and technology at TalTech. She holds diplomas in international business, law, and management, and also received formal trainings on technical aspects of cybersecurity and digital evidence. She represents today an Erasmus Plus project called CASPA. Our second speaker is Csaba Krasznay. As he described himself, a cyber everything guy. He's a professor, researcher, mentor, entrepreneur, thought leader, speaker, and consultant of cybersecurity. Today, he represents National University of Public Services, and he is the head of the Cybersecurity Institute. And last but not least, let me introduce Kubilay Onur Gungor. He is the CEO and the founder of CyberStruggle. They combine cybersecurity with social science topics like criminology, psychological warfare, terrorism, and intelligence studies, and with soft skills like teaming, leadership, mental resilience. So welcome all of you here in this panel. And let's start with Csaba. Could you please share with us your thoughts regarding cyber awareness for public administration?
Sure. Thank you very much for the invitation and good afternoon for everyone. I think, first of all, I have to state that cyber awareness, I think the best return of investment in cybersecurity. If we can educate our users, I think this is the cheapest solution to tackle somehow the cyber security related threats inside an organization. Therefore, I'm a huge supporter of cyber awareness, and that is why I think that we should educate all of our users everywhere to the basics of cybersecurity. But it's a very interesting question, what is the right method, what is the right scope, and so on and so on and so on. First of all, something has been changed in the last year, and not just because the COVID-19 pandemic, and not just because we are working remotely, and of course we have the conference remotely as well, and we are sitting in our own living room or home office, and we are trying to do the best what we can do. But if you go deep inside the actual cyber threats, you can see that something has been changed. The threats, the techniques of cyber attackers are much more sophisticated than they were at the beginning of 2020 or at the end of 2019. I don't know why, and I don't know what was the reason behind that. Of course, I know, because a much more people are is sitting next to their computer and smartphone and tablets and so on. But the technique, what they are using is really, really sophisticated nowadays. Just an example, on the last week, my wife showed me a short video on Facebook. And on that short video, the well-known American singer Pink argued to buy some cryptocurrency. And of course, with my expertise, I can figure out that this video is not real. This is a fake video. This is nothing more than just a deep fake. And of course, both the video and the audio behind that was generated by a computer. But the message what was sent on that video was nothing more than a real online fraud. Buy cryptocurrency, because Elon Musk is also buying cryptocurrency. Therefore, cryptocurrency will do whatever it should do that will make you rich. On the other hand, I had to present my university in different live shows in the Hungarian media in the last weeks, together with some local celebrities. And the basic problem for them was that their image, their picture, their sometimes even their personal Facebook page was used to advertise some fake drugs I mean, something that will make you healthier, something that will make you more, better shape, and so on and so on. Again, frauds, online frauds. And the online criminals, the cyber criminals, used the latest technologies to commit that kind of frauds. And who were the targets? Usually the mid-age or the older people. Meanwhile, our children are also sitting next to their computers and they are suffering the same. Just at the beginning of this week, we got new statistics from the local media authority who is responsible for the safe internet, and they are operating the internet hotline here in Hungary. And they said that the number of identified children's sexual extortion pictures in a high rise in Hungary, and we can get the same numbers from all over Europe and the world. So the internet, the cyberspace, became a much worse place than it was a year ago. Meanwhile, a year ago, that was also not the safest place, of course. But if we go deep into the statistics, we can see that the major area, the major focus point of the cyber criminals are usually those sectors who are in the public service. The public service itself, so I mean the public administration, healthcare, education, and of course the military and the law enforcement as well. The highest number, the highest percentage of cyber attacks are aiming to attack somehow these sectors. And I think that the cyber awareness, or in general the cyber defense of such sectors, were never as important as it is today. But why? Because we can tell you that the participants, the employees of the public service, from public administration till healthcare, are the same people who are sitting next to their computer in the evenings, and those who are buying cryptocurrencies and those who are buying fake drugs, because they are advertised by local celebrities. Therefore, the assumption, or I would say the hypothesis, is that if we can educate those people who is working inside the public administration, we can educate not just our employees, but through our employees, a wide variety, a wide range of public audience as well. Therefore, somehow we have to support, we have to enforce the cyber awareness trainings of the public administrations, and we have to believe in the the domino effect of the cyber awareness, because if they can identify the possible bad things, bad signs of the internet, they will able to tell to their parents and to their children as well that there is something suspicious. Therefore, in Hungary, since 2013, the local information security law, the Act 50 of 2013, says that the cyber security awareness trainings are mandatory inside the Hungarian public administration. The public administrations means, in that sense, not just the central or the local governments, but that also covers the critical information infrastructures as well. Therefore, approximately 6,000 organizations needs to organize some kind of an awareness trainings for their employees. So another assumption, it will go in the right direction. Therefore, the domino effect will be successful. Because meanwhile, unfortunately, the awareness trainings for the public, for the general public, is not really covered here in Hungary. Unfortunately, there is no clear intention inside the information security law how to educate the public. Unfortunately, there is no clear roles and responsibilities for none of the organizations, governmental organizations, who needs to organize such wide cybersecurity awareness trainings. Therefore, currently, we only have the National Cybersecurity Agency here in Hungary, who is trying to spread the word through their Facebook profile, through Instagram, through podcasts, and so on and so on and so on. But unfortunately, that can't really reach the wide audience. Meanwhile, we who are representing that topic inside the media, we are getting more and more personal phone calls from the public that how can I solve this problem and that problem and that problem. So that is not really working. What is behind that? What is the reason behind that? The reason is that meanwhile, we can have this low-based cybersecurity awareness at the organizations. Unfortunately, it seems that they are not quite successful. The success of these cybersecurity awareness trainings can be measured, of course, and we are trying at the university, we are trying to measure the success of such trainings, but we can see that the traditional education lines, so when we are, standing in front of the audience and we are telling them the good advices, that is not really successful now, not enough nowadays. Therefore, we have to introduce new ways of cybersecurity awareness for them. My university, the National University of Public Service, is responsible for the education of the different parts of the public service. We need to educate the public administration, the law enforcement officers, military officers, diplomats, disaster management officers. Therefore, we have a wide coverage of the professionals of public administrations. Therefore, we decided that most of these future officers or future public administration experts have to get at least a basic cybersecurity awareness training in the first semester in their studies. Therefore, we are trying to educate to the basics, but most of the times I think 45 minutes is not enough. We also have a so-called postgraduate training on cybersecurity for those who will be these chief information security officers inside the public administrations. We have that is a 2-semester-long postgraduate training. We also try to educate them, train the trainer mode, how to educate their employees, their colleagues inside their organizations. Therefore, I think the knowledge, the capabilities, and the future generation is more or less somehow covered. But back to the techniques. According to our experiences, the new methods, which rely more on the technology and more on the computer-aided techniques, computer-based or gamification-like solutions, will be the near future. As an example, if we can send out several spam-like or how can I say, targeted attack-like emails for our colleagues, as an example, after the 10th such education, the experience is that they will be able to identify such targeted attacks more likely than before. Therefore, such methods seems to be absolutely valid. And why I say that this is a way cheaper than, for example, buying the newest AI-like or AI technologies for the prevention or for the identification of such attacks, is that sending out emails and creating similar attacks like in the real life can help to these colleagues to identify the cyber criminals, the cyber crime inside their organization. Therefore, I'm a big supporter of such methods. But that is, again, not really enough, because in the public service, we just don't have cyber criminals, but we also have nation-sponsored or state-sponsored attackers as well. Their methods are much more targeted than in case of an ordinary ransomware, although ransomwares are getting way more targeted than before, just to highlight the changes in the last year. But how can we fight against the influence of foreign countries? I don't really have a good answer now, but as my thesis, after the hypothesis, my thesis is that against the cybercrime-related threats, the modern awareness campaigns, which are trying to build up the drill inside the colleagues, is a really successful thing. And as a next step, we have to find out something to be able to identify the state-sponsored attacks as well? I don't have a good answer to that, but hopefully in our project, together with SciEx, with TalTech, and with Kosciuszko Institutes, the CASPA project, we will able to create good answers, or at least a functional specification for that question. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Csaba. You just mentioned this CASPA project, and I would like to introduce Agnes, who is the leader of this whole project, and I would ask to her that please introduce what is CASPA looks like, what is the mission of it. I guess you are muted, so could you please unmute yourself?
Okay, so I'm trying to, can you see my presentation?
Yes, we do.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you very much. So thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak here and share some of my thoughts and some information also about what we are doing. So as to put things into context first, this session and actually the whole day's program is also part of our Train the Trainer seminar in the CASPA project, which is EU Erasmus Plus funded project. As such, I have to say that we are not talking on behalf of the EU or the European Commission. So I'm reflecting my own views here. So, cybersecurity and awareness and prevention. We have seen the diffusion of technologies throughout the last half century, more or less, in information communication technologies, very much exponentially spreading and growing in global use. With that also came our society's dependence on this technology. So when this was recognized, that for many of the societal functions, nations also depend on these technologies, this is when was that it became a kind of common understanding that dealing with cybersecurity is a national interest. So, and as it has been already for some time that when we talk about cybersecurity, there are a couple of factors that have been identified, both on the vulnerability side, that vulnerabilities can be in people, processes, and technology, but also from responses side. That all people and processes and technologies are also very important in both regards. And Csaba's example about the fake video is actually a very good illustration for this, that for the trained eyes and with technical expertise behind, you can actually point out and you can recognize the doctored videos, but this is where technology comes also, so that in this respect, it's difficult to actually teach everyday user how to recognize these things. Of course, there are common features, but when there is a very good fake video or deep fake, now that's really difficult to identify, and this is where technology can also come into the picture. So. And in the morning, when there were the technical discussions and incident response, that also shows that processes are very important. So cyber awareness and the question of this, these human factors and the education and skills development and all these things have been around for sometimes already in the European Union level. And go back to 2013 cybersecurity strategy. That's raising awareness, cybersecurity awareness. That comes together with the first priority and resilience building in cyberspace. So, for example, already back then in 2012, there was the first cybersecurity month pilot launched by ANISA, and it's going on year by year. Then in the strategy, there was also a goal that network and information security training for computer science students should be implemented in national levels. But also, it was already there in 2013 that network and information security basic training for staff working in public administration should also be taken care of by the member state. So it's already, it's been for almost 10 years. It is already a formal strategy in the European Union. From their own, of course, this issue just became more and more important and more elaborated in the strategies. So the 2017 already identified this skills gap, that how many experts or unfilled jobs there will be basically by 2021 or 2022. And they said also something interesting. You see that cybersecurity education should not be limited to IT professionals, but be mainstreamed in curricula for other areas such as engineering, business management, or law, as well as for sector-specific education tracks. So they go a step beyond the technical community and technical education. So they're recognizing here that the future lawyers, the future CEOs, the future engineers, of course, they also should have some kind of an understanding, some kind of an education about cybersecurity. And of course, the strategy and is promotion of cyber hygiene and cyber awareness, which more like aim to the average user and consumer. And again, in 2020, we go back to the same ideas that we don't have enough experts to actually fill those empty positions. And now we can see a digital education action plan also referred to in the strategy. How to reflect on the Estonian level. In the recent, the latest cybersecurity strategy, has a significant section on building cyber literate society, and it has two main kind of dimensions: the awareness raising, general awareness raising, and the talent development. There are so there is this overall policy approach in Estonia that both of these two elements are important. And what I can see here is first of all what is being implemented in my own university. That we have different programs in cybersecurity. There is the engineers cybersecurity MSc program, and also in the law department we are also teaching cybersecurity related subjects. On the awareness raising in Estonia, I can see that there are many and complementary programs being implemented. Some of them are targeting younger generations, primary school students, their parents, and also teachers. And then there are separate programs for the general public, like an individual, and there is another program targeting small and medium-sized enterprises. And so there are quite many projects. Also, there is, I think it was 2018, when the public sector started to measure cybersecurity awareness level within their own institutions, own entities. And this is going on. And you see, in the cybersecurity strategy of Estonia, they also have performance indicators. So just to point out the last section here, that what they want to achieve, level of cyber awareness and skills among employees at government institutions and local governments. At the moment, as I said, this measuring and the programs are going on now. So we don't have the starting level yet, but this is the target level that they wanted to achieve by next year. So there is the thinking about how to measure and what should be the targets also already at the policy level set out. So another interesting, I mean, this I very much liked, Kersti Kaljulaid, Estonian president's thoughts about cybersecurity. She said last 2019 conference, that everything in cybersecurity starts from governments who can actually create digital identities. So this tells me also that cybersecurity is not necessarily or not purely a technical program. When you want to achieve that, there are reliable and working digital identities, and that's for the government. That means that this is to implement by the public sector and public administration officials. So they need to understand what they're doing, and they need to understand some of the technology, they need to understand the legal implications and ramifications for that, the policy ramifications, etc. So and this is what leads us to the CASPA project that we started last December. So CASPA is shorthand for Cyber Aware Students for Public Administrations. This one runs until August 2023. And the main partners are Tallinn University of Technology in Estonia, National University of Public Service in Hungary, Kosciuszko Institute in Poland, and of course, SciEx, our today's host. So the main idea behind the project that aims to develop and maintain innovative courses in the field of cybersecurity, especially designed for university students who will work in public administrations as end users or as users having special role in cybersecurity. So we are a little bit narrowing down our target learners, or how to say, yeah, who we want to reach and educate. We are aiming to educate our non-technical students. So those who will serve in the public service in their home countries, we want to educate them on the basics of cybersecurity, their roles and responsibilities, including the legislative and policy and technical aspects. We will also develop cybersecurity competences of those in public service who will represent their countries abroad, engage in cyber diplomacy. So this will be a specific focus of the CASPA project. We think that it's important to integrate the cybersecurity competencies and the skill sets of non-technical people. And we will be able to do that by implementing personalized learning solution according to the different profiles, focusing on domestic and externally oriented aspects of a wide range of relevant policies. So what we think is that we take a look at who are the public servants, and we try to come up with different profiles for our project. So we think that, okay, there will be the diplomats. They will need a set of skills. They will need to understand cyber diplomacy and the relevant cybersecurity related policy framework, international law, etc. Of course, the basic cyber awareness and cybersecurity skills they will need, but there is a specific kind of knowledge that these people will use for performing their functions. And there is perhaps another category, as we can see, that there will be the legal professionals. They will have, again, a little bit of different needs, and they will have a little bit of different necessary knowledge base. Or there will be, for example, the police, again, who don't need the same kind of international policy framework to know much about. So their training will be in our project a little bit differentiated from the rest. So what we try to do is come up with the different profiles of public servants and define the knowledge bases for these groups. After that, when we have these kind of our profiles, we will obviously work out the training materials, and here comes the more fun part. We will implement in the CyEx platform and with help of CyEx to make the trainings and the courses more innovative, so deliver it in a e-learning environments. We will work out scenarios, so all those material we could teach to these people actually via games and in more, yeah, so in more attractive and more engaging way. So we will map and classify these cybersecurity competence requirements. Then we will, of course, use these in our own courses. There will be a module on cyber diplomacy, and we deliver all of this in the platform of CyEx. We are very confident about our projects, what impacts it will make. And Csaba already mentioned that the future generation is hopefully covered here. The public administrations will be, of course, the ultimate beneficiaries of these CASPA activities. Brought out some of the impacts. There will be, of course, impacts for public administrations. There will be more opportunities to find qualified working force participants after our CASPA project is implemented. So there will be better understanding of cyber competence needs in non-technical positions, and this is where I haven't found a lot of research. So probably the technical competencies are already addressed in many levels in different projects, but focus on the non-technical positions have not been very widely addressed yet. So also there will be impacts for our students, of course. This includes the greater cyber hygiene and awareness, and of course for the research institutions and universities. So I stop here now with my references, and I'm very much looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you so much, Agnes. Kubi, you, Cyber Struggle train the special forces of cyber security. I would say you have a really different approach, as you are not teaching the average, the non-technical user, but I guess the governmental sector or the whole health sector need those guys who can protect them. I would be happy if I can hear a little about your approach, how you think about this topic. I think you are muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Nice. Thanks, Ben. Great information sharing, actually, starting from the first minute of the event. And actually very happy to be part of this event. So I hope I can add a little bit different and maybe a new perspective to this day, hopefully. So many resources define cyber as an additional domain, as you know, to air, land, sea, and space. But it is not a very fitting definition and does not really help the cybersecurity community to deal with today's truly asymmetric and unconventional process. In fact, cyber is a kind of framework covering all other domains. All the domains. Imagine you are a security responsible or an analyst in an organization, and imagine this organization targeted by APT groups. Actually, it doesn't matter if it is a state sponsor or not. The idea is empathy. So imagine you are in such kind of organization, and if you are hacked, let's say you will lose 300 million euros plus huge brand reputations, even national security problems. So this is kind of nice example explaining such kind of pressure we are dealing with right now at the moment. Right now in the cybersecurity field. So you don't know where the attack will come from. You don't know how this attack will, how long this attack will last. You don't have any idea about how much power will be in use during the attack. So you have limited visibility. If you are lucky, you only know your capabilities, maturities, maybe your team, your tools. But if you are lucky, sometimes even you really don't know those attributes as well until you face as a real incident. So from this perspective, it is not a cyber war. It is a real and never-ending struggle. It is totally unconventional and unorthodox. So what do you do to deal with unorthodox processes in real life? You use unorthodox methodologies, even teams, persons, experts, so forth. Like you use special forces for unconventional warfare, right? So cyber activities are the same. We need really special forces mindset, methodologies to deal with this process. So I'm a little bit on the technical training side, not for non-technical people. But in this unconventional process, what are the common problems? Let's dig into it. First of all, there is a lack of technical hybrid knowledge. Until now, we all like the idea of dividing works, jobs into small pieces like titles and so on, like web experts, network engineers, developers, offensive security guys, defensive security stuff. I mean, detection engineering, hunting, different colors like red teams, blue teams, white teams, purple teams, and so on, right? I mean, we are always dividing job descriptions and limiting the people, and thinks that it's easier to manage if we divide the responsibilities. But the problem is limiting people also limits the creativity and innovation as well. So what I mean with this, I mean, imagine, I mean, is there any special forces like only using pistols? Like there's a special forces in real life and they are saying that, okay, we are only using only pistols. So this is not, this doesn't make sense, right? I mean, they are special forces and it should more than this. I mean, you can use them for offensive or defensive purposes. In fact, you can use them, I mean, wherever you need. So this is the importance of being hybrid person or having hybrid technical knowledge. Another problem is lack of soft skills. I mean, I know you heard lots of things about soft skills, but it's, I mean, imagine you have great bunch of people having great technical skills. They are very deep in tech, but they are not talking each other. They are not that adaptive. They have no teaming skill. They don't have enough communication between, I mean, among them. And imagine they are really fragile under high pressure. Maybe two of them are sleeping when the incident occurs and the other one is not reachable because of, let's say, family issues. There is no coordination. I mean, in that case, technical depth is nothing, right? So the soft skills is another issue we are having right now during the cybersecurity, or in general terms, cyber activities, let's say. Another problem is lack of resilience. I mean, according to researchers done in, I guess, 2019, 70% of experts are on medication because of stress and uncertainty. So 48% of them having mental health issues because of, again, stress and uncertainty. 17% of them disrupted physical health due to mental issues. And 40% of them stating that the stress they are under is affecting their normal, I mean, personal relationships. So these are the strong numbers and these are strong, you know, facts, let's say, as a result of this research. So resilience is a matter for, I mean, against cyber crimes. And finally, another problem is lack of interdisciplinary vision, because, I mean, security is an attitude. It is not about like port scanning or any specific technical topic. Of course, they are important and they are tools, but it becomes a lifestyle at some point, like in kinetic life. And it is in your habit, in your mindset, and requires different disciplines of security, like terrorism studies, like intelligence studies, psychological warfare, criminology. All of these disciplines provide more perspective and increase tactical thinking, creativity, resilience, innovation, and so on. So it is crystal clear that we really need kind of unconventional expertise to deal with both those problems that I mentioned and also this never-ending struggle. So security is also a matter of attitude. The thing is, everyone is focusing too much on the content, like training content, technical content, and so on. But in the end, contents are almost same in everywhere, right? But I mean, what changes and improves the attitude is the experience itself, because experience is about emotions and behavior, in addition of the content, of course. When you start thinking about experience, then you start thinking about methodology. So those are griftings. So all learning processes, all exercises, all teaming, soft skilling, and etc., it must be experiential. Yes, there are, let's say, two sides of coin. Maybe normal people, I mean, non-technical people and experts in the front line. Actually, both sides should be aimed in terms of capability and maturity. And whatever we are providing them to have their capability and maturity should be experiential and interdisciplinary. Otherwise, it will remain kind of learning tool. I mean, reading another awareness-related article, or, I mean, we just see it. I mean, it's not working. It is not about reading, listening, but actually it is about living it. So maybe we need to stop saying training, but just start saying more simulation. So people at the end, it doesn't matter if they are non-technical or technical, at the end they need, you know, simulation. They need to live it, not read it, not listen it, not whatever it is. So yeah, as you said, basically we are approaching cybersecurity like this. That's why we call it cyber struggle. It's not a cyber war. It's not a cyber conflict, but never-ending struggle. And we design such kind of methodology. And with that methodology, we are trying to certify and, you know, train the special forces of cyber world.
Great, thank you, Kubi. I totally agree that we have to show to the people what they should not to do. And please yes?
May I reflect?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I already raised my hand before you finished the sentence, so I don't know how you wanted to proceed. I just wanted to say that thank you very much, Kubi, for this these very, I think, true words, and I think you are making great point. Yeah. So I just wanted to share with you also that these practical and simulation-based learning, I think that is already being very much implemented in Estonia, and in the CASPA project we will do also things like that. Just about Estonia, there are extracurricular activities planned since, I think they started since 2016 or 17. These are cyber competitions for students. Actually, last year, they already made cyber competitions for first graders. So they start to learn through experience and through simulations already about cybersecurity. And there are different groups, age groups addressed. So there is like 1st to 6th grade, and there is 4th to 9, and there is for university students also. And in the CASPA project, which I didn't mention, we also have a little thread in the CASPA project that we are preparing our students for the Cyber 912 cyber policy competition. We put together teams from National University of Public Service and from Tallinn University of Technology, and we try to mix the techies with the non-techies. And then work out the whole training material, because first of all, you have to learn the basics about what you're going to compete. You can't go there without having zero idea about cybersecurity related policies or what's going on. So that's part of the story. And in this preparation material, we also have already these basic skills. So for example, we teach our students how to make an argument about public speaking. So these very basic skills we include. And on top of that, this more cyber-specific material and training there will be. And the Cyber 912 is a simulation competition. So some of our students will actually get that realistic scenarios, and we'll have an understanding how things work. And so it's university level and basically all steps of the education that is being implemented in Estonia through different projects. So I completely agree with you that this is very important, and I hope that future projects are going to be like that. Yeah.
Thank you,
Agnes, to your comments. Let me share my screen just to jump into the middle of the topic. This is a professional blog of a cybersecurity guy, and I would like to highlight this picture. Yes, that's a real picture, and this picture contains few computers from hospitals. And yes, there are many problems with what this researcher found behind them, but there are really sensitive data in them. There is a little protection. There was a password, actually. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, there was a password. But I think I can jump into the topic that we need a level of awareness in the public sector, but maybe not just the public sector. So my question to all of you, what do you think? What is the level of the knowledge that a non-technical person should know? Let's say in the public sector, in the public administration. So how and what should we show them if we staying in a point of simulations that please don't do such a movement that I just show you?
If I may start that round, I think that the first thing what we should teach is what is cyber hygiene. Because I think that cyber hygiene is absolutely the basics of cybersecurity. And as a first step, we have to teach them, how to wash their hands, how to throw out the used napkins, and so on and so on. The same thing should be taught in the cyberspace as well. How to create a good password, how to store the password, how to use the strong authentication, how to delete your data, for example, when you are throwing out your HDD, SDD, USB pen drive, and so on and so on and so on. How to set up your first IoT device in your home, how not to trust in everything what you read on the internet. And I think that the cyber hygiene should be taught even at the elementary school, because at that level we can teach them, for example, how to set up a new account on an online gaming platform, and with that knowledge they will be able to use that basic all over their life. So as an example, I used to say that the first time when a kid is meeting with the cyber threats is when they are losing their first account on Instagram, TikTok, or on Steam or something like this. Therefore, if we can teach them at such an early stage that why the protection of accounts is important, we are on the right track. And we can do the similar things, I think, with the current employees of the public administration, if we can teach them on the basics of cyber hygiene, that will be a huge jump. And of course, the next steps can be later on.
Thank you, Csaba. Is anyone else has thoughts of it? Kubi, I guess.
I think it was a, great summary, but I can say that, it should be kind of parallel. If we try to put some baseline, I think it will continuously make us to stay behind the attackers. It's like, let me put it this way. If you use doors in your apartment, at the same time you learn you need to close the door, if you use the window in your apartment, you learn at the same time you need to close it. So it's like, making them parallel, learning them parallel would be better goal. But in the end, yes, we are kind of making baselines. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thanks. Yes, Agnes?
I will add a few thoughts also. And this is a little bit controversial, of course, also. I think that like what we need to teach and what is basic, very basic cyber hygiene, that's the content is almost the same everywhere. Yeah, you don't have a password like, you have a password first. Secondly, your password is not 1, 2, 3, 4. So and similar things. I think that okay, we do have some of these baselines that it's not really disputed. My other concern is that at what age you are able to effectively explain that to a child. Yeah, my personal belief is that you should allow the use of these devices and the use of these services to a child only when you are able to explain and teach these things, the basic cyber hygiene and basic literacy, digital literacy skills. This is, as I say, this is controversial because I see a lot of parents actually giving and buying smart devices, smartphones, and giving computers to kids in the kindergarten. So many won't agree with me on this, but I think that the child development will reach a level at some point, and we should be kind of looking forward that, so that when is it that you actually can teach and that the child will understand that what might be the consequences of doing that practice or not doing that practice. So yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, Csaba.
Yeah, just one thing I really want to add here at that point of this conversation. By definition, what is security? Security is the absence of risks. Why? How can we feel ourselves in security? The first solution is that we don't know about the risks. The second is that we are managing the risks. Unfortunately, the general audience, including the public servants, currently don't really know the risks. They are getting to understand then which are the risks of the cyberspace, and they feel themselves in a more risky situation, of course. Therefore, they don't feel themselves in security. And that is, I think, is a really good point, that if we can teach them and tell them which are the risks and how to manage that kind of risks, we can back or get back to the secure situation that they will able to manage most of the risks. I mean, we all know that currently the risks are very similar to each other. So most of the risks are coming from malware, and of course the malwares are usually coming through emails, and of course the online frauds are usually nothing more, just psychological games. So if you can highlight that kind of risks, maybe the whole society can be in a higher level of security. But we can see the emergence of new technologies such AI, IoT, and the other ones. Therefore, therefore, we have to teach the new kind of risks. But the sad news here is currently we are not really aware of that kind of risk. So we don't really know what will happen. I totally agree with Kubi that we have to do something in parallel, and that is why we are also teaching the risks of the new technologies. But to be honest, I feel the same what I felt 10 years ago with the current threats, that the general audience don't really believe that that risks will appear in their daily life. But hopefully, we will reach a better stand of security in the near future by just teaching the current threats, current risks.
Yeah, but I totally agree with you. I just want to jump in. There is a Hungarian cybersecurity podcast, Hackés Lángos, and one of the speakers just mentioned about the 5G thing, that it's really interesting that even if we learn how to make secure new technologies, and then there's come up a new technology and we start from the beginning. Absolutely. So at first, maybe the technology providers should start, and then we should teach the average user.
I totally do not agree with you. In case
No?
of 5G, we have a 5G toolbox in the EU. We have the cybersecurity certification framework, especially for the IoT devices and including 5G. So I think that the European Union have learned from the failures of previous technologies, and hopefully in the new technologies like 5G, AI, security should be built into these technologies.
Should be, but still not all the time. But yeah,
have to be, because they are rules. Security but have to be built into these technologies.
Okay. And what do you think about the frequency? I mean, if we think in a normal company, a normal organization, even some ministries, how normally an awareness campaign looks like. Maybe in the first week of January, they have a new e-learning or something, and then they forget it for 1 year. This is the average. Of course, there are good examples. What do you think about it? How can we make that cyber hygiene continuous, or what the tools that the professionals can use for it?
Well, cyber hygiene should be a drill, and the drill means that practice monthly at least.
Okay, but what's the balance? I mean, we cannot train or we cannot make simulations to the employees or the workforce every day, even if as a professionals we want to, but the users have to do their daily job. So what do you think? Where is the balance?
Actually, maybe I would turn your question around. Do we need to have like fixed time periods here, or maybe your next awareness training should depend on the results of the current awareness training and exams? So maybe it should be looked at as a process. which could be on a, well, depending on the actual organization and actual awareness level, if it's measured. What do you think?
Maybe I can say that, or I can ask that how many times you need to ask someone to quit smoking? I mean, what is the frequency? I mean, the security is like that. As I mentioned, it's kind of attitude, and you need to change the attitude, and you cannot change the attitude by repeating words and repeating, let's say, best practice and stuff like that. I mean, that's why it's not about maybe frequency, but about maybe intensity of that exercise. I mean, with that exercises, let's say candidates or the people, I mean, how they feel during the exercises. I mean, at the end of the day, they feel a thing, and that feeling, that emotions help them to change their attitudes. That's why I think the methodology and the design and the intensity itself is far more important than the repetition or frequency, I guess, for me at least.
Okay, thanks for your insights. My last question, or maybe one of the last questions, is maybe you can tell us in your country how awareness raising is, what kind of programs are there? Maybe if you know a bit more about is EU or NATO has their own programs or not, as just reflecting to the previous panel. So what's the situation in Hungary? What's the situation in Estonia, in Turkey? Even, for example, as Kasper related to Poland as well. How you see the awareness raising in your countries?
Yeah, maybe I should start here, because I already mentioned a couple of these different programs that it's in the Estonian cybersecurity strategy also, and it has different focuses, and actually this is ongoing work in many different fronts. The general cybersecurity awareness raising, and actually there is the question of skills. It's already, it was already in the cybersecurity strategy of Estonia in 2008. Now, this is because Estonia learned hard lessons in 2007. So from already that year, 2008, they started to focus on cybersecurity education and more broadly about cyber awareness. So this has been ongoing and continuous effort. So as I mentioned, there are different target groups. What I have not mentioned yet, that I think it's only the initiative of the Estonian Foreign Ministry, or perhaps in a broader context, the Estonian government. In the last 3 years, they started to have awareness-raising campaigns on international law and cybersecurity questions. So they're organizing their own master classes, and like 2 weeks ago, there was cyber diplomacy winter school. So and they reached really global audience and diplomats, and with very prominent speakers, and we're discussing what's already there at the international level and what the international community needs to do. And of course, they use new technologies to reach this audience. And they were explaining that this is a very important awareness-raising effort from Estonia, and not focusing on the domestic situation and even going beyond, way beyond the European frameworks. It was a coordinated, very nicely coordinated effort, very nice, very nice discussions. So when we talk about awareness raising, that could also mean like things beyond cyber hygiene, and the Estonians are now on the front lines with the cyber diplomacy context and awareness raising over there.
Thank you. Csaba, maybe some words about Hungary?
As I mentioned, we don't have a coordinated public awareness program. The National Cybersecurity Agency has the their Facebook program, and they are trying to actively disseminate the good advices to the public through the media. Of course, we have the European Cybersecurity Month in every October, which is, I think, a very fruitful thing with a lot of different actions. I can feel that the general media is actively dealing with the questions of cybersecurity. I feel myself is that almost every day I have an invitation to a TV show or radio show to talk about that. In the public administration, I've heard some rumors that the Ministry of Interior will have a central awareness raising program to the whole public. And of course, at our university, as we are responsible for the further training of public servants, we have so many e-learning programs year by year, which is not mandatory. Therefore, the public servants can choose their own e-learning program based on their own interests. I think that's all what I should mention.
Okay, thanks. We are almost done with our time. I would like to ask a few words, just what the professions, I mean, cybersecurity profession, the professionals should do to make a bit more efficient cyber awareness raising in the next 1-2 years.
If I may start, my practice nowadays is that I'm trying to turn the personal bad experiences into general advices. So as I mentioned, I hear a lot of bad things from the average users, and I'm trying to generalize and somehow create a fairly different story for the others. And I can tell that that happens with one of you. So please learn. You know, smart people is learning from somebody else's mistake.
Yeah. A few thoughts about Kubi, Agnes? Or you agree with this?
Totally agree.
Agree, Csaba. Obviously, we learn from our experiences. Maybe what I would add, and what I see, or what is, I mean, that business basically is that interdisciplinarity, the TalTech, we teach legal aspects of cybersecurity to the cyber defenders, so to the IT guys, and vice versa. We teach cybersecurity to the lawyers also. So, and I see that what is important that the different the different communities, let's put it that way, or people with different backgrounds are able to talk to one another. They have a common vocabulary, perhaps. And that means interdisciplinarity. So understanding trying to understand a question when IT guy is asking something from the lawyer and vice versa. That's important. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much. all of you, your thoughts. I'm really happy that you've been here.